You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
Packers Talk.
Welcome to the Packers Weekly Podcast, part of PackersTalk.com network. I'm your host, Miles Teddick, joined by your co-host, Tim Hamilton. We are diehard Packers fans that love talking about the Pack. We're not getting into all the national sports media nonsense. We're sticking to real football, diving into the top topics around the Pack every week and breaking down games during the season, which we are now in, and no longer sorting through all the draft dreams and drama of the offseason. If y'all want to support the pod, please spike that like button for us. Most importantly, jump on over to YouTube, type in Packers Talk Network, and hit that subscribe button. It helps us out tremendously and is very low effort from you. If you're watching on YouTube right now, it should be right underneath the screen. Just click that subscribe button. It's right there. Just right there. Go do it for us. Help us find some more Packers fans and help them find us so we can talk some Pack. And this week, we got plenty to talk about. We got some family night action. We got training camp week 2. We got position battles. We got injuries. We got all sorts of stuff. Jonathan Gannon's getting everybody hyped. We're all excited. So let's talk some Packers football. But, of course, first, let's take care of some business. The show is once again sponsored by Wisconsin's own Ticket King. For over 30 years, Ticket King has been providing Packers tickets to Packers fans, as well as Bucks and Brewers and all them other tickets y'all could need. You can find them on the web at theticketking.com or visit their locations in Green Bay and Milwaukee. And remember to support all of those local businesses, Wisconsin and otherwise. Tim, good evening, sir. How we doing?
Good evening, Miles. I'm doing really well. There is a lot going on at Packers training camp.
Yes,
we got our first preseason game coming up this week as well. So lots to get into tonight. Family night, 10 practices in, and they're about to go play the Pittsburgh Steelers. See Big Mike, see the former quarterback. There's a lot going on.
Now, I got to point this out, and I saw this on the old Twitterverse. What a missed opportunity for the schedule makers to not bring McCarthy and Rodgers back to Green Bay for one more bike ride to camp, do the joint practices, do the preseason game at the end of it. Would have been a great experience. The media would have eaten it up. I'm sure the fans would have loved it as well, but missed out on that. Didn't get to do that. So they will be in Pittsburgh Thursday night. We might see Aaron Rodgers for a snap, but probably not much of him. And then we get to see all the backups and what they're doing. So, yeah, a lot to look forward to there, man. But before we get to that, we got family night. We got training camp. We got all sorts of stuff going on. How did you get to watch family night? What did you take away from it?
I did. I thought it was pretty sloppy overall. It wasn't the best practice to see. They've had a lot of their other practices have been better, according to the people, the beat writers, the people that are on the ground every day up there. They said family night was probably the sloppiest of them all. So that kind of sucked, because that's the only one you and I are going to get to see, because we're not in Green Bay.
Right.
But it was, it's still cool to watch, because you get to see the newer, the rookies in this case, for the first time. And you get to see some of the second-year players that are making the jump, who we're going to talk about in this episode tonight. It was sloppy overall, but there's always things to take away, and you can kind of see back up, I guess, what you're reading about, what you're hearing about from everyday training camp. You're actually getting the visual evidence, and a lot of it is confirming things that, had already been talked about and in the news and part of their, everyday camp up until that point. So it's always nice to see it. I wish it would have looked a little better, but glad to have gotten some visual, evidence of the Packers practicing and what's going on, who's doing what, who's up, who's down, that kind of stuff. What did you think of it?
It was fun. It was sloppy, but it was fun. You got to see some of the things you wanted to see. I loved, just sort of the non-football stuff, as far as like the family coming out. It seemed like there were a lot of kids, A lot of kids coming from these Packers, so I thought that was pretty cool. A lot of family. Really, I really loved that part of it. As far as football goes, you did get to see a few fun things. We got to see Matthew Golden cook Keyshawn Nixon. We got to see Jordan Love throw it into the net. Everybody loves that. So you got to see a few things, but other than sort of the fun kind of just little takeaways, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen more. Right. I think I would have. I didn't get to see as much of the O-line. I was kind of in and out doing some parenting stuff myself. But I would have liked to have seen more. I don't put a lot of stock into the fact that was sloppy. I think that it's easy for a night like that to be sloppy. You know, you got the family all around. You got the fans there. There's a lot of distractions. But I will say one thing that I appreciate, and I see it as a positive, maybe whereas others are a little annoyed by it or see it as a negative. You got Matt LaFleur counting penalties and mistakes pre-snap, making comments about that, and I don't recall him doing that in the past. Now, maybe I'm sure he did, but he didn't really speak about it. And that to me was like a little inkling of accountability, which is something I've been talking a lot about. And that's a good sign, in my opinion, that you get some of the sloppiness out of the way now and maybe in some of these preseason games as well. So that come week one, there's not this week one beating to wake you up and realize like, hey, we're playing real football now. I guess we better do that. Hopefully by then they've been sharpened quite a bit. They've pointed out these mistakes. They've corrected a lot of them. But the other thing that and this is kind of a post takeaway, there's some accountability happening on as far as like who's playing where. You're seeing some demotion. Yeah. We're going to get into some of those. But yeah, overall, I thought it was a good, productive night to get some things out of the way. It doesn't seem like there's any major injuries. I know if you guys got banged up, but it doesn't seem like there's anything like some of these other teams are dealing with, whether you're starting to see guys be lost for the season or lost for a long period of time. So overall, I enjoyed getting to watch the Packers on the field, playing some football and getting better. I think that's ultimately what happened there.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything to like overreact to. I mean, family night always gets more attention because it's in the stadium. There's 60,000 people, and it's a lot of people's first time seeing them or only time seeing them. And then when they're streaming it like that, a lot more people are watching and seeing it. So there's a lot of overreaction to it. But really, it was just another practice and a long line of practices in preseason, right? It's different because it is in the stadium. They bring the families out. There are, like you said, there's some distractions that kind of make it a little bit different. But I think it's helpful as a team that, especially for the guys who haven't been there before, the rookies or the new additions, to practice in Lambeau and see what that environment's like. So yeah, it was productive, I guess, even if it was sloppy. But I think the real storyline now coming out of camp, especially in the last few days, is they always like to talk about competition, but there's a real competition, and it seems like some jobs are really up for grabs. And you mentioned accountability. We're going to see, because I think part of that maybe plays into some of these position battles being up for grabs, because there's certain guys who we all just assume were going to be starters because they had been starters in the past. And maybe they still will be. But right now they're competing for jobs, or so it seems. Now that could all change, and we could get here and we're going into week one against Minnesota, and it's, Keyshawn Nixon's still a starting corner, and Carrington Valentine's still the other starter, and Belton's at right guard again. Could all very well work itself out that way, where this is much ado about nothing, and the Packers go back to doing what they were planning on doing all along. We've seen that before from this coaching staff. But at least right now, there are some jobs up for grabs that I don't think very many people were expecting to be up for grabs. I know we all bash on Keyshawn Nixon, but he was solidified as a corner. The other spot was maybe up for grabs where Carrington Valentine is, but the fact that it's now 2 practices in a row where Nixon he's getting to 1 reps, but he's now rotating in. For those of you listening to us later, we're talking Monday. In Monday's practice, he was rotating with St. Just with the first team defense. That's new. Like, he was never doing that before. So it's at least a question. I still think it'll end up being Nixon that starts week 1, but that's something. Like, that he was given that job last year. He was given that job all off season. He's now competing for that, and rightfully so. I think a lot of that could be the position coach. He's got a new position coach, and that this isn't happening without LaFleur saying, like, go ahead and do it to Daniel Bullocks, and maybe Goody has input in that as well. But this could very well be a new defensive coordinator seeing something different, and a new position coach seeing something different. And they want better performance from Keyshawn Nixon, so he's competing for it. And then the other spot has been basically Cisse. Like, he was rotating in when Valentine was healthy at the beginning of camp, and as soon as Valentine dropped out with the hamstring injury, it's been Cisse every day. And we don't know when Valentine's coming back. He won't be back this week against Pittsburgh. Who knows how much he's back next week, going into the second preseason game. At this point, and again, a lot can change, but at this point, I'd be surprised if Cisse's not starting against the Vikings week 1.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that, man, because even what you're talking about, the rotation, he's rotating with St. Just. He's not rotating with Cisse. Right. So Nixon is in a battle for CB2 right now, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. He's not in a battle for CB1. That's already been a demotion. And, we see another clip, I think it was today, maybe it was yesterday, of him getting just torched by Matthew Golden again. It's like, I'm going to start calling him Toast Nixon. This guy's got a new nickname, and it's Toast, because he just keeps getting burned. And, yeah, he might be fighting for CB3 when Valentine comes back.
He could be. I think some of the stuff, I know there were some clips from practices that, people in the stands were filming and put out there of him getting beat. And it's like, it's one-on-ones, which favor the receivers anyway. Like, so I don't make too big of a deal about it, but he is losing some of those reps.
He's losing some of those.
Yeah.
I agree with you. One-on-ones definitely favor the receiver. You don't have help. You're not in a scheme. It's just you're on an island. And there are definitely ways to just give the advantage to the receiver outright. I mean, slants and one-on-ones usually are not fair, just to be blunt. Like an in-breaking route, like a dig. You're going 10 yards up the field and then breaking it in. That's just not really a fair thing to ask a corner to cover, just because of the reaction and all that. But and the lack of support. But in some of these clips, man, he's just losing. He's getting absolutely torched by Matthew Golden. Matthew Golden is easily faster than him. And this is not even close, I don't think. I will give him credit. When he gets behind, he doesn't give up, man. He stays in that pursuit and, sometimes draws a flag, which is not going to be favorable to him. And honestly, I would be surprised if that were not something that they were measuring right now in camp and performance evaluation. It's not just, are you winning a rep? Did you get a flag in what you're doing? Because even if I think there was the one where he went and it was against Sturdivant, and he got beat and then caught up and knocked the ball loose, but it was pass interference. It's like, you lost that rep, dude. You got beat, then you got a spot foul. It's not even a 15-yard flag. You got a spot foul. So you totally lose that rep, even though the receiver didn't catch the ball. I mean, it's not outright just as bad as it looks, but he is losing these reps.
Yeah, and the penalty thing's been an issue for him too. I mean, a lot of his penalties have been stupid ones, like after the whistle and stuff like that. But if you're committing penalties in one-on-ones, that's not a good sign either. And maybe Matthew Golden's just really good and he's toasting them, and there's a positive side. Maybe Matthew Golden's just that good and he's going to toast a lot of cornerbacks. But yeah, I think it's a coaching staff change. Like, this is a Gannon / Daniel Bullocks move, and they kind of asked LaFleur about it, like, who makes that decision, or is it a competition, something like that? And LaFleur gives the old it's always a competition, but a lot of that he doesn't micromanage and he leaves up to the position coach. Well, that's Daniel Bullock's. Like, so if he's deciding to make that a competition to rotate St. Juste in there, he's not tied to Keyshawn Nixon in any way because he's new to the staff. Now, I don't think that happens without Matt LaFleur saying, go ahead and do it, right? Like, and Jonathan Gannon saying, yeah, go ahead and do it. Like, we're seeing the same thing. You want to make that change or make that rotation, go ahead and do it. But to me, it's the new coaching staff. I think that's playing a big role in this because they don't have the ties to Nixon from the past because they weren't here, and they saw the film of what he's done in the past. And to be nice, it's been up and down.
It's not like they've never seen the guy play football before they got here. He's on film.
Like they've watched all that film, so it's not like they've seen something where like, whoa, he's our CB1, no doubt about it. He's not going to be challenged. Like, no. And if they're seeing it now in practice, this is the result of it. He's going to be challenged for his job, and I think that's the way it should be. Like, they're doing absolutely the right thing, and I'm surprised just because he's been a starter there, and it just was assumed he was going to be the starter there. And I thought it should be a competition. I thought they needed to upgrade his spot, but I just didn't think they were going to do it. And now he's at least in we'll see. Again, like, I just have the feeling when week 1 starts, he's still going to be out there as a starting corner. But I think at this point, maybe he's got to earn that job rather than have it given to him. And that's a positive sign overall for the team, is that he's got to go out there and earn it now.
Totally. No, that I think is the real takeaway, is that these guys are going to have to earn it. And we already got a comment from our boy R Showers. Nixon has always been pretty subpar, and Valentine is better than most people acknowledge. Yeah, listen, hey, if Cisse and St. Juste win 1 and 2, Nixon is fighting for his life to beat Valentine for 3. Like that I think is the real thing here. Like, you could be really looking at a situation where Nixon might not even win playing time. And the one thing, you bring up a good point with the coaches coming in, and they're probably giving a little bit more of a fresh evaluation, maybe a little more honest evaluation. But we can't forget, this guy was brought in to be a returner. He was sort of a secondary cornerback. He was not brought in to be CB1. That was not the move when they brought him in. And the thing that always has kind of irked me and almost like borderline offended me is him saying, oh, I'm CB1 now, I quit returning. So it's like, you were brought in because you were one of the best in the league at this job over here. And then you say, no, I'm going to go be super average at best at this job over here, and I'm not going to do that job anymore. The job that you hired me for, I'm not going to do that job. I'm going to appoint myself this job over here and be average at best. And if I'm the coach, like, that offends me, man. Like, are you kidding me? I brought you here to be good at a job, and now you've quit that job to be not very good or average at best at this other job that I didn't bring you in for. That, like, just the attitude of it, in my opinion, is bad. The attitude is bad. It's like, what do you mean? You got to earn that, dude. And when you're looking at the returning, like, you're looking down your nose at it. Like, dude, Deion Sanders was a returner. One of the best corners to ever play the game, returned kicks and punts. So don't get on your high horse. Oh, I'm CB1 now, I don't return kicks. Like, dude, that attitude is so repulsive to me. Like, I can't think of many Packers I have disliked the way that I dislike Keyshawn Nixon. I really can't. Well, and that's, I'm not even like trying to be a hater. I would love to see the guy work out. And I remember close to this time last year, the first few games, he was playing very well. And we came on and we were like, is Keyshawn Nixon really CB1? Like, is he really good? Like, he was playing well. And then it all fell off and we saw how it ended. It's the attitude to me that is just so unattractive. And then you've got Brandon Cisse over here, a 21-year-old, by the way, who has every right to be kind of a punk because he's young. He's like the consummate pro. He's the one who's coming in. Everybody's talking about his passion for football, his football IQ and all of that. And it's just like, what, dude? First of all, like Nixon coming in wanting a new contract, buddy. You have a job to earn. don't come in here asking for a new contract. That just stacks on this attitude that is just repulsive. And then, the first day got a hamstring injury. The further we get into camp, the less I buy that, because hamstring injuries linger. If he had a hamstring injury before, it's not gone now.
Look at Valentine's out with a hamstring, right?
Right.
2 weeks.
I mean, it just doesn't. You don't just make that go away the next day. So the whole attitude that he has it pisses me off, to be honest. I don't like it. So I wonder how much these new coaches are getting a hold of that going, dude, you have to earn your job. Like, let's go see you earn your job. And then the more they push him to earn his job, the worse he's doing.
Right.
I don't know. Am I getting too emotional about this?
A little bit. But I agree with what you're saying, and I see what you're saying. But the whole returner, I'm not going to do that anymore. That was probably from him. But I mean, the coaching staff, whether that was, LaFleur, Bisaccia as a special teams coordinator, plus the organization, Goody, like they all had to kind of go along with that, buy into it. Maybe they were the ones.
That's their mistake.
Yeah, it is. But like we truly don't know the full story on that. Like, was that just Keyshawn saying, I don't want to do it? Was that the organization saying, you know what? You're playing a lot at cornerback. We want to take it off of you. Was it a combination of both of them, which is probably more accurate, I think. We don't know. But yeah, he should have still been doing it, especially last year when they were struggling so bad.
He's an all-pro.
And then losing guy, like, okay, he didn't have the experience returning punts. But the kickoffs they did, and they're trying out rookie Jameson Williams, and he's playing with an injured foot or ankle, whatever it was, and then he drops out, and then they're going through all these returners, and then all of a sudden the playoff game comes about, and who's back there returning kickoffs? Nixon and Josh Jacobs. Like, where was this all season, right? Like Jacobs wanted to do it, so yeah, that was. I mean, we went over that. That was a weekly rant from either one of us last year. Like, why the hell is he not back there returning? So yeah,
well, and that's my issue with it. And maybe it is a coaching mistake, but even like in my opinion, and again, I could be very biased, but from the player's perspective, if I'm his teammate, I want to see a dude who is hungry to help this team. You are an all-pro at something that this team is struggling at. Where are you? Don't tell me the coaches told you can't. I don't buy that for a second. I will believe that the coaches agreed with his decision not to want to, or agreed with the idea that they needed to protect him because he's CB1. You don't want him getting hurt. I will agree and believe that. But from a player's perspective, I want to see a dude who's like, no, put me back there. We need help there. Now, if he wasn't an all-pro, and if they weren't that bad with the alternatives, like if the difference was a little closer together, okay, you're one of the best in the league at this thing. And the team was doing one of the worst. Like, they were one of the worst teams at returning. Like, dude, where are you? That's like one of the quarterbacks being like, nah, man, I'd rather be a punter. Like, what? Like, I can't imagine if Jordan Love was like, no, I don't want to be a quarterback. I want to be a punter. It's like, dude, you're a great quarterback. Why do you want to be a punter? Like, this team needs a quarterback, not a punter. Like, and that's a little bit of an extreme example, but it's like to illustrate the point where it's like, dude, this team needed somebody. You are literally one of the best in the league at it, or you had been. And now you're like, nah, I'm good. Like that. And then to do it when the playoffs come around, it's like, oh, great. Here comes Superman with his cape. Thanks a lot, dude. Where you been all season?
Right. And it wasn't like he was great as a cornerback either. That's the other thing.
Exactly.
Like, maybe you can get away with that if you're really good at corner, I think.
Yeah. Like, if Jair didn't want to return, nobody was, beating him up for not wanting to be a returner. He probably could have been a good returner. Great corner.
Wow.
You want him to be a corner. He's kind of injured, so you want to keep him as healthy as possible. So, all right. Like, he's not even, he was like I said, average at best. He had some good moments, but really in the grand scheme of the league of cornerbacks, like, there's not many teams jumping to take that guy.
No. And I think he he thought much more highly of himself than what he puts out there as a player. You want a guy at cornerback who's really confident or cocky in himself. Like you have to kind of have that mentality as a corner because they're all going to get beat at some point. You gotta forget about it and move on and think that the next one that comes to you, you're shutting that receiver down. And there's a lot of damn good receivers. But his cockiness and confidence was like completely overblown to justify what he was putting on the field production wise. And it was like, and this is weird. And a part of like the disconnect with me with Nixon was like, he was this undrafted corner who came, he was with the Raiders and he didn't get much playing time. And the Packers signed him to be a returner / he ended up being their nickel guy. But he was kind of like this underdog fighting for a role. And then he finally gets it. And then it was like, he was too good for that role, right? Like he thought more highly of himself. And then, we had the plays like the playoff game in Chicago at the goal line where he turns down a tackle with the guy going into the end zone right past him because he didn't want to put his body on the line. Like, I don't know what happened to like this whole underdog, like, chip on his shoulder player. Like he got too full of himself, I think. And his play fell apart. Right. And a lot of that was his play fell apart because Micah Parsons got hurt and there wasn't a pass rush to kind of help him out there. And that can happen with a lot of cornerbacks, but it really exposed him. And he's always kind of been an up and down player. And it got bad the second half of last year. And he still thought he was really damn good and he's not. And he could be a better player than he is if just the mentality of it just kind of was like, it just never connected with me. Like, dude, you overcame a lot to get where you are and that's great and all, but like, it kind of stopped being that I'm going to prove everybody wrong. I'm like that hungry player. And you became this fool of yourself, think you're a lot better than you are kind of player.
Right.
And to see Cisse, who's, a kid coming in at 20, turn 21 years old, have a maturity about him. And like, yeah, he's confident in what he can do, but like, he understands like I'm a rookie. I don't know anything yet. And he just seems like a maturity about him and he's going to handle his business and learn and try to get better every day. And like, that's what you want in a player. You don't want what Nixon's doing. And now he's in a battle and it'll be real interesting. Like, how does he respond to it? Like, because this is your coaches, whether or not they've told it to him, like, hey, you're competing for your job or not, like they're showing you're in a competition now. Like it's not going to be given to you like it was in the past year. So it'll be interesting how he responds. And you brought up Carrington or I think our Showers brought up Carrington Valentine. It's like, I agree. Carrington Valentine maybe is a little better than we were thinking because last season, once he got that full-time, every down opportunity, it didn't go so well. And a lot of that was just poor tackling, but you got to be available and he's not available right now. So like, if you can't get on the field, who knows if he's any better than what he was. And Cisse's passing him by and like, maybe Valentine's back next week and he can reclaim it and he's one of the starters. Could very well happen, but like you got to be on the field. He hasn't done enough to be like, yeah, we'll wait for Valentine. If you're ready week 1, you're the starter. Like I hope they don't go that route. Maybe they will because they've made plenty of decisions that were head scratchers before where they should be playing somebody else over who they are playing. But
we've definitely seen that.
Cisse looks like he belongs. Like, is he giving up some completions in practice? Yeah, he is. And he's going to in games. He's going to be a rookie, and there's going to be ups and downs as he learns and grows. But he's their most talented cornerback, and he absolutely looks like he belongs, and it's not too big for him, and he's ready for it. Like, as long as he keeps growing like he is, in these practice by practice preseason games, he needs to be the week 1 starter. He absolutely should be. And he's been so impressive for a 2nd round pick.
Totally agree. I think you nailed it when you said he looks like he belongs. I think that's the right way to say it. It's not that he's perfect, but he does look like he belongs. He doesn't look uncomfortable with it. He doesn't look like just the best you got, which is not great. Right. And I think that there have been plenty of times where the Packers starters are just the best you got, and it's not really a good situation. But the way I'm looking at the depth chart right now, it's Cisse, St. Juste, Nixon, and Valentine. And Valentine and Nixon might be really fighting it out for that CB3 position. LaFleur even said, when he was asked about Valentine, I think it was either today or yesterday, that he's ready for him to come back because he was playing good ball before he went down. So it sounds like Valentine's arrow was pointed up, which, I didn't really catch a whole lot of updates about him in practices early on.
It was early. Yeah.
Yeah. But, and again, like, you've got to look at all of this through the lens of having the new coaching staff. So while Carrington Valentine might have had struggles last season, it's very possible some of those things get fixed with a new coaching staff or a new scheme. Sure. So very, very possible he's, again, arrow pointed up and ready to go and could beat out Nixon, especially because Nixon's arrow is pointed down. As far as I'm concerned, you're looking at stocks. His arrow is red and pointed down right now. And he really might be in a fight for CB3.
I think it, and again, a lot can change in the next few weeks here, but I could very well see them week 1 Minnesota having some kind of a rotation among their cornerbacks, right? Or maybe from a matchup standpoint, maybe they like St. Juste or Nixon against the Vikings receivers more, but instead of it being 2 primary guys outside with Bullard in the slot, I could see him saying like one of them, Cisse, is a primary, and the other spot, it might be Nixon, might be Valentine, might be St. Juste, but there's going to be some kind of rotation there. Maybe it's not going to be the same 2 corners outside all the time until somebody, truly wins that job and outright takes it. But I could definitely see a rotation to start the season.
Yeah, and I'd be all right with that. I think Cisse needs to be on the field until we see evidence that says otherwise. Cisse needs to be on the field. Whoever's playing 2 and 3, fine. I do think a rotation is not a bad idea. You may have guys that, excel in press versus zone, and you want to run them in when you're doing man and run your other guy in when you're doing zone, or, they're doing a lot of DB blitzes. So if somebody's able to handle those responsibilities better than the other, you want to, run them in. That makes sense to me. And that sounds like it would be consistent with what Jonathan Gannon's doing as far as we're going to do what our guys do best and stick with that. So that's where it's like, all right, fine. I don't think that's a problem at all, because then you're not going to be stuck with this guy is a liability and he's just out there getting torched over and over and over again. You at least have the ability to say, okay, you're not doing okay right now. Let's rotate it in, get the other guy in there and see if he can change it up and stop the bleeding. That's fine. And keep guys fresh too. I think that's also something that, even in those games last year where you give up the big leads at the end in the fourth quarter, I think some guys were getting gassed on defense because there were some long drives there where you just couldn't stop the bleeding. Guys were getting gassed and they couldn't finish it out. So if you are able to do a rotation, that can also help stop that bleeding too. It's getting some of the fresh legs and fresh lungs out there. I'm very, very, very interested in how this is unfolding right now, but I really believe I don't know that Nixon is battling for CB2. I think he's battling for CB3 when Valentine comes back. And I know he's in a rotation with St. Juste right now. He might be on that 2 to 3 bubble, but nothing is guaranteed for him as far as I can tell right now. And his attitude isn't helping it. I'm guessing that first day of his hamstring injury, he might have gotten a wake-up call. It's like, oh, hey, these guys are actually good. If I spend too much time out, they're not going to need me. We'll never know all the details of those and how the coaches respond and what kind of fire they lit under him for that. But he sure popped back real quick and hasn't said anything about it since. Haven't heard about that contract extension either, So maybe he did get a little bit of a rude awakening where it's like, listen, buddy, you think you're CB1, you might not be CB3. So get it together and figure it out. But yeah, ultimately the Packers win for having that kind of a problem. Because if you've got 3 guys who can be better than who your CB1 was last season, you've improved.
Yeah, make them earn it. Make them earn the job.
Yeah, so absolutely. But speaking of jobs, so that was, we got several of these jobs, these position battles we're going to cover. The next one I wanted to dive into, Monk, our guy Jacob Monk. He's up here. He's taking Belton's job. And while we don't
He
hear a
might
lot
be.
about Monk is just, like you hear Burton's awesome. He's going to push for a starting job somewhere. You don't really hear that kind of buzz about Monk, but you also don't hear about him making a lot of mistakes.
No, and he's been running with them with the first team the whole training camp. So like he was over filling in at left guard because Aaron Banks is just he's a ghost. Who knows when he's going to ever get back on the field again? That's a whole nother situation. I'm really getting frustrated with that one. But he was there at left guard. Belton was at right, and then they made the switch and put Monk at right guard. Jagger Burton's at left guard. Belton's now not exclusively, but primarily taking reps at tackle, which is a development. And there's a lot of different ways to look at this. You could look at it like, hey, good for Jacob Monk. He's getting better and he's in this competition. You and I both really like Jagger Burton. Or you could look at it like, oh man, what the hell's going on with Belton? Like he's a second-year player, second-round pick who, last year he should have been getting the guard reps last year in training camp. He was primarily a tackle. He didn't get those guard reps until he was forced into the lineup in the middle of the season. Like, okay, you were behind it. But now he's been getting those reps in the offseason. And from all eyes that are up there on training camp watching, he hasn't gotten any better as a pass protector. And he had a rough family night. And I mean, he's really in a fight for a starting spot at right guard. He might be maybe he ends up being their swing tackle, their sixth offensive lineman, but you certainly were hoping and expecting more from him in his second year as a second-round pick than to be a swing tackle. And if he's not beating out Jacob Monk at right guard, that is real concern for Belton's development. From everybody's observations, he's pretty good as a run blocker, which is great, but it's just he's struggling in pass pro. I don't know if it ends up being Monk as the starter week one. I still am skeptical of that. I would lean that they end up putting Jagger Burton there and he starts at right guard week one. I think that's how it's going to play out. Certainly Belton has time here the next few weeks to win that job back, but it's going to be interesting how many reps he's going to get at guard starting in the Pittsburgh game this week. He's probably going to play a lot in that game.
Mm-hmm.
Is he primarily at right tackle, or is he going to get some right tackle, some right guard where he can win his job back? And then how does it play out off of the Pittsburgh game going forward? But if we only see him at tackle in that Pittsburgh game, not a good sign for him being the right guard week one. In fact, I would venture to guess like that's it for Belton in that competition at right guard, because if you're not getting the reps in the preseason game there, it's not happening at right guard. But yeah, definitely a concerning development overall for the offensive line at guard, because your starter at left guard has barely practiced, and doesn't look like he's close to practicing. Like it's a mystery what's going on in Aaron Banks' knee, and when he'll be ready to get back. But like clock's ticking, he needs to be out there, and then a wide open competition at right guard. So yeah, I don't know how you feel about it. Me personally, it's very concerning that Belton can't hold that job, or hasn't held that job, or taken a hold of it and made it his own, and that it's now wide open, and maybe Monk's in the lead for it, and certainly Burton's part of that competition as well.
Well, we got our other guy here, Chris the Casual, says, someone asked Goot how his experiment is going with the fattest O-line, Banks and Belton.
Not going well.
It doesn't seem to be working, sir. Good observation too. But I will say, I think Banks is coming back. I think Goody actually said that Banks could be closer to getting back. I'll be interested to see how he does when he gets back and if he can stay back. But it is interesting to me that the guys that aren't the fattest, Monk and Burton are more athletic. They're not skinny. Let's not get silly here. But they're not the big belly boys like Belton and Banks. So it's interesting that those are the guys that are kind of rising to the top in this situation. Again, this kind of goes back to like what I was saying with the corners. If you've got guys starting that are just the best you got, that's not a good place to be when they aren't actually very good. I wonder, because I haven't watched much, but again, I try to pay close attention to the updates. You just don't hear about Monk, making mistakes. So he's in there, he's taking reps with the ones. If he's not making mistakes, that's a good sign, because you are hearing about Belton. Belton's struggling,
Yeah.
and that's not a secret. When these guys struggle, it's kind of hard to hide. So the fact that Monk is stepping in there kind of quietly with the ones and not really drawing a lot of attention to himself, that to me is a good sign. That to me is a sign that he might be winning that job. And to your point, you probably see, if it's not Belton, it's probably Burton there at right guard. But that assumes that Banks comes back. That assumes that Banks steps back in.
That's true.
I would like to believe, with all the money that they're paying him, that when he does come back, he will be good and good enough to take that left guard job. But there's probably a fair, at least a chance worth observing and acknowledging that day one, you got Burton at left guard and Monk at right guard. And, let's see how it goes, but yeah. And you also could do worse than having Belton as your swing tackle. It was his position in college. So it's not necessarily the worst thing to have that kind of depth, but you definitely wanted to see him win that right guard job. You wanted to see him win that. And that was something we talked about a few weeks ago, where it's like, look, you got a lot of potential in a lot of places if guys develop. So we're seeing in some places where guys have developed, right? We're seeing in some places where it's like, oh shoot, this is working out. Look at Matthew Golden. Look at Savion Williams. Look at these guys go. I mean, even Cisse, who, is still a rookie, he's not even going through a full offseason, showing development. Belton, I think, qualifies as one of those guys where you're not seeing the development you wanted to see. And there was potential to see it, because it's like, look, he kind of got thrown to the fire at right guard in the middle of the season, hadn't really played there before. So you can give him a little grace there, but then you think, all right, well, in the offseason, you got to figure it out, dude. Like, you got to know your assignments. You got to, get in the right shape to be in that position, whether you need to get faster, better feet, bigger, stronger, whatever it is, figure it out, do it. And it just doesn't seem like that's happened. So that to me is a concern. And the fact that you've got other offensive linemen that are excelling and developing. I mean, Sean Ryan developing a little slower, but he has developed and gotten better every season and seems to be a solid starting center right now. That speaks to me more like it's the individual, right? It's what's going on with Belton, not necessarily what's going on with his influences and his coaching. So concern, definitely a big concern there. But it's good that you have someone like Monk who's ready to step in, who maybe has developed a little bit more quietly, that wants to make a push for that starting job, and it seems to be doing it. So I found that very interesting. But a lot of football left to play. To your point, though, in this game, if you don't see Belton take any reps at right guard, that's it, man. And I will say, I'd be shocked. I would be very, very surprised if he doesn't get any reps. At the very least, you, as the coaching staff, you want to see him against another team. You want to see him in that position against a different team. What are they going to throw at him? What is he going to do? How's he going to respond? Some guys are gamers. Sometimes, you get out there and you turn it on whenever your opponent is across from you. And maybe, sometimes you can get in camp and guys know you too well, so they know how to take advantage of you. That certainly could be true. But if he doesn't take any reps at right guard against the Steelers, that's it, man. That's a terrible sign for him.
And I think he will. I think he'll take reps at both, spots, right tackle, right guard. But family night, he was rough at right tackle too. So that wasn't a good sign. I think this is a huge game for Anthony Belton. Like, I know it's preseason. We're talking about, we don't want to overreact because it is a preseason, but it's a big game for certain players, and he's one of them. Like, it's big. His starting job at right guard is on the line, right? And the game against the Steelers won't be the only deciding factor. There's practices, and there's, we'll go into the second week of preseason, but it's going to be big. It's going to be really big for Belton, and what his immediate future is it a guard, tackle? Is he a swing guy? Is he back into the competition for starting right guard? Like, what happens? But certainly a big week for Anthony Belton.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And honestly, probably for Burton too, and he's the other one in this lineup. We got our guy, or maybe gal, go Pack go all day here, says Jagger Burton is probably the best option. And I would have to
agree.
We're big Burton fans over here. But he seems to be really threatening Banks with that job. I mean, I think if there weren't money on the table, if they hadn't paid Banks what they paid him, and it was just Banks versus Burton, and they were both like mid-round picks coming in from the same draft class, Burton has won the job. I think he has beaten Banks out thoroughly for that job at left guard, but that's not the case, right?
Banks hasn't been on the field. That's why. And
still, right. Like, but that's what we're saying is like, best ability is availability.
Yeah.
And yes, totally. I mean, they paid Banks all that money for a reason. He should be pretty dang good when he's on the field. But the problem is you're not seeing him on the field. He's Marshawn Lloyd right now. So, it's like it's going to poor Lloyd, man. He's going to become a verb for being injured all the time. But you're getting to this point where it's like, look, man, like we got this other guy who's pretty dang good at this position, and he's out there all the time, and so I'm very interested to see how that's unfolding, but it does seem like Burton is taking that position from Banks as things stand. And again, context matters. What the guy's getting paid totally matters. And being healthy, if he can get healthy, you want him on the field. You paid him all the money for a reason. So you don't necessarily want Burton to win that job because that's a worse situation for the Packers. But the fact that you've got a guy like Burton who's pushing a guy like Banks and really making you think about like, dang, man, like this rookie over here, he's we got to get him on the field. That is ultimately a good problem to have. You just got to figure it out to where it works out the best for the Packers and you get both of them on the field, which, maybe that means Burton's over there at right guard, but it's a very, very interesting situation unfolding on the O-line. And this is one of those things where I said it before a few weeks ago. I was like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see these competitions where you're like, well, maybe this guy, maybe that guy with the O-line, because that means Belton's not doing good. Banks is hurt. You got problems. If Belton had developed and Banks was healthy, you've then got great depth who's pushing for playing time, but ultimately should not be part of the best five, right? And in an ideal world, Burton and Monk are just great depth. But in this world, which is real, the NFL is full of injuries, is full of, nothing's perfect across any team. It's good that you have those guys that can step in and you can be excited them as a starter, but it's also bad that you're paying for play that you're not getting. So that, two things there kind of balance each other out a little bit. Another position battle, and this I would hesitate to call this a position battle, but this one's a nice development. This one is one where you've got good depth and it's a good problem to have. Jameson Williams taking advantage of Golden and Reed being out and getting those reps and looking good, looking like the elite athlete that we have been so excited about, not taking jet sweeps, burning dudes down the field, catching the ball, getting in the end zone, looking like that dude. I am pumped about what we're seeing from Jameson Williams right now. I don't think he can take anything higher than receiver 4 just because Golden and Reed are too good. And their injuries aren't serious enough, I don't believe. I think it's all just out of precaution at this point. But I love what we're seeing from Jameson Williams while he's getting those reps.
Do you think the light bulb is finally going on for the coaching staff? Like, hey, maybe this guy can play receiver. Maybe we should give him a shot to actually run real receiver routes and be productive that way instead of all these jet sweeps and receiver screens and all the, gadget stuff he did last season and apparently had been doing throughout camp. Like, maybe they're finally seeing it because unfortunately, through other guys being banged up and out of practice, he got his opportunity. And, He's had, Sunday and Monday now, back-to-back very strong practices as a actual receiver running actual receiver routes. But like, it shouldn't have taken that. Like, he should have already been getting that opportunity. Maybe that's what it takes for them to finally wake up and be like, you know what? We don't have to do all this gadget stuff with him. We can just line him up and let him be another receiver for us, because he's going to play. Like, you're not going to play the same like receivers come out of the games. They need, they need breathers. He's going to have to go out there and play. Like, can't always just be a gadget guy, or if he is, like, you're just wasting him. So it's a really interesting development, and it's great to hear. He's going to play, I would think, a lot against the Steelers. He's going to, and then week 2 of the preseason against Denver, he's going to play a lot. Like, he's going to get that playing time, and it looks like it's going to be strictly or mostly as a receiver. I don't think we'll see a ton of the gadget stuff from anyone in these games.
Right.
So yeah, I'm really excited to see what he looks like and what he can be for this team playing receiver, but using his size. He's a big dude, 6'4", 220 plus, ran really well. You saw him in family night go up and get a pass over top of, I think it was Oladapo, who is a big safety, to go up there and get the pass and, snatched away from Oladapo. Really excited to see what Savion Williams can do here with a huge opportunity against Pittsburgh, but I like it. I hope it changes their mind about him a little bit. I'll kind of believe it when I see it when we're into the regular season. Like, is he getting all the gadget plays, every time he's on the field, and that's all they're using him for? Or they actually like throwing him the ball when he's running receiver routes? We'll see, but definitely a positive development of a guy who's trending up right now in camp.
Yeah, and it's one of those positions where receiver 4 on any given team could go either way. You got receiver 2 and 3 out, receiver 4 steps up into that position while they're out. That could be kind of a bad thing for some teams, and that could be a situation where you're like, yeah, he's all right, but he's not great, and you can be less than excited about receiver 4. So being excited about that guy, knowing who's in front of him, that is a phenomenal development. You are legitimately 1 through 4 deep right now. And as much as I don't want to acknowledge it, Bo Melton looking pretty damn good too. Like, you got some depth at receiver right now. You got some real depth at receiver, and I love seeing that. Absolutely love seeing that. So very excited to see that. Not as much of a position battle, per se, as these others that we've been talking about, but still a great development to see whenever 2 and 3 are out. And then the last one, and I don't even know who's battling who in this situation, but I wanted to call out our guys Stackhouse and Anthony Campbell. These guys are forcing themselves into the lineup, making plays, looking good. Campbell might be the darling of training camp, which kind of scares me, because it seems like when that happens, that guy still gets like pushed back or cut or ended up on the practice squad or something. So I don't know what's going on with Campbell. If I don't know what it is. But I hope it's real. I hope it's real. I hope he is legitimately what he looks like right now, because he's all over the place. Stackhouse looks good. He's taking reps with the ones. I keep seeing updates that he's in the backfield. He's getting sacks. He's getting stops. So I just wanted to call out those of us. And as far as we're on that note, McClellan, another rookie, seems to be holding his own out there. So very excited with the developments on the D-line.
No, I was just going to agree with. I would call out Warren Brinson too, who I think has been had a really strong family night, and from all indications has been consistently good in practices. It seems like they're rotating a lot of these defensive linemen, especially because they didn't have Hargrave until Sunday. He's not taking team reps. Wyatt just came back and just started taking team reps. So they were rotating a lot. So there were a lot of defensive linemen getting reps with the first team who probably wouldn't be getting very many, if any, if they had everybody healthy. So I think that's been part of it. But it also seems like that defensive line, the defensive tackles have been winning consistently, and everybody's been playing well now. Maybe that's a poor indication for the offensive line too. But you mentioned Campbell, you mentioned Stackhouse, Jonathan Ford's had some plays, McClellan, like you said, Brinson, there's been plenty of them there. And Carl Brooks too. That's another interesting, position to watch as we get into preseason. But it's a nice surprise because I had a lot of questions, and I still do, about the defensive tackles, like what is for real and what's not. Is it just because they're going up against struggling offensive linemen, or have some of these guys just improved? Making the second year jump for Brinson and Stackhouse. Is it the system that's just a better fit for them? I think we'll kind of see as it plays out here. But if you're talking about, like, Campbell will be interesting because it seems like every day he makes a play, whether it's batting down a pass or getting pressure. How good is he going to be against the run, I think, is a big thing to see in the preseason, because they're doing runs in practice, but like they're not tackling to the ground. It's not like what you're going to see in an actual game against another opponent.
Right.
And then I think, like, you could probably look at Stackhouse, Campbell, and Jonathan Ford. There's probably one roster spot for one of those guys between the three of them, because you have Hargrave, you have Wyatt, you have Brinson. Brooks is going to make the team. So then McClellan's your fifth, or however it stacks up. But that's five right there who are most likely to make your team. I can't see him keeping seven. So then the sixth spot is either Stackhouse, Ford, or Campbell. So probably only one of them makes it. It's going to be an interesting battle, and those guys they're going to play a lot in the preseason.
It is an interesting battle, and it's good. That's a good problem to have. That these guys, I mean, really all from top to bottom of your D-line depth chart, these guys are making a case for why they not only need to be on the roster, but why they need to be getting snaps. So that's a great development. And Hargrave being out, that's what you want to see. You didn't want to see a group that was like looking to Hargrave to be the one who's going to produce. And I've heard less about Wyatt, and it's not like that's because Wyatt's not good. I just think it's these guys have really kind of stepped in and taken the spotlight from him. So yeah, just good developments, good positive developments on the D line. Somebody's taking somebody's job, because to your point, they can't keep all of them. So somebody's going to get cut that maybe you don't even want to get cut. But yeah, great development on the D line, and also the kind of honorable mention here, the pass rush for sure has looked encouraging, right? You got Sorrell making plays. You got LVN looking good. I've seen Oliver on some updates, and that was one that I was really excited about, but wasn't sure about, if he could stay healthy or not. It seems like he has. And even Dennis Sutton, I think he had a sack today.
Yeah.
So
Brandon Cox.
The depth on the pass rush is looking very, very encouraging right now, without obviously Micah Parsons being part of the equation. The better that group can be without him, the more exciting it's going to be when he comes back.
Yeah, and they're going to have to be good. But I also think they're going to be creative, because we're seeing every day at practice about all the pressures and all the exotic looks that Jonathan Gannon's presenting. And like, you're getting Cooper coming off the edge, you're getting the DBs blitzing a lot. Like, the offense ain't used to seeing that kind of stuff. And I think that's hurting the offense in practice. But a lot of unique stuff that at this point, like, okay, early in practice, maybe he's just trying to, show everything in his playbook to his players. But like, we're a couple weeks in, or however long they're in now, 10 practices in, they're still coming with the pressure. So I think it's going to be pretty significant part of the playbook, at least, the pre-Micah Parsons playbook. We're not going to see it in the preseason, right? Like, in family night, it was really dialed back. Like, it's going into family night, you just heard about all the, pressures that Gannon was coming with in practice, bringing the DBs, and then you didn't really see it at family night. I think that was because that was streamed, so anybody could watch it, including future opponents, and some certainly did, I'm sure. And you're not going to see it in the preseason games. It's going to be very vanilla, and there's going to be, not a whole lot that you can really dig from these games of what Gannon's going to do in this regular season. But yeah, to your point about the edge rushers, they need those guys, obviously, without Parsons out. But I think it's also going to be not just the edge guys. It's going to be the interior guys. It's going to be Cooper at linebacker, and it's going to be sending the defensive backs. I think that's the plan. And to me, it makes a lot of sense. It's better than I think the plan was last year after Parsons went down, where they just said, these are our four guys now, and we're going to try to win with those four guys. I think they're maybe looking at it like, okay, we don't have Micah, and none of these, nobody's Micah, but like, what do we have? It's going to take everybody. We're going to have to get creative. We're going to have to use multiple guys. It can't just be like, hey, we're going to rely on one or two. It's going to take everybody. So like, how can we be creative and generate the pass rush? And it'll be interesting to see what Gannon does, but that's kind of what I'm expecting, is that it's going to be a group effort to get to the quarterback and try to find the pressure, because I think they're very much aware that they don't have that one guy or one or two guys that can really take over without Micah.
I think that's okay.
And I do too. Like
I honestly think
that's what Hafley should have done.
Exactly. I think last year Micah gave Hafley an excuse to be less creative and say, "Oh, look, Micah Parsons, send him out. He's going to get the quarterback. Like, just send him," which is good. Yeah, send Micah for sure. Don't get cute and not send Micah, but at the same time, like, don't lose that creativity, because part of that is how you beat offenses. Forcing them to wonder and to guess where your guys are coming from and who they have to cover and how is part of the game. And that's, if you make it too easy for the offense, then even with someone as good as Micah, you're only going to be so good. And then as soon as that guy is gone, the rest of them are hamstrung. The rest of them got their hands behind their back, and they're not nearly as good as they could be. So, that I like it. I'm totally good with it. I love the DB pressures that they're bringing, all the disguises, all the creativity that it's forcing, and the energy, by the way. I love that video of JG pumping everybody up in the indoor facility and in the Don Hudson Center. That energy is awesome.
He seems a lot different than what publicly he looked like as a Cardinals coach, right? Like, and what he looks like at the podium. I mean, he's not bad at the podium, but he's a little bit,
less than comfortable, I'll say.
Yeah. He doesn't have like the huge energy, or he's not real. I mean, he's not getting down showing how to hold for a kicker like the special teams coach Accord was doing, or Accord. So like, he's more reserved up there, but by what the players had said, and now we have visual evidence because it's out there, like he's an energetic dude. He gets after it with them, which was pretty cool to see.
Absolutely. I love that we got a view of that. So, all right, what are we looking forward to this Thursday in the game, man?
So a lot of it is what we've already talked about, like the competitions at right guard, how Burton's going to play, competitions at cornerback, want to see the edge rushers, D-line, like all that stuff we've talked about. But I also want to shout out two guys real quick. One on offense, one on defense. John Williams on offense, the offensive lineman, who's basically like played all over.
Yes.
He's played tackle, guard, center, and been consistently good from everybody's observations up there. Last year, he missed the entire season with a back injury after they drafted him. I think he practiced late in the year, but they never activated him. Basically a redshirt year for him. And now he's out there and he's all over and apparently looks really good now. Let's see what happens up against another opponent. But he certainly can provide them some really nice depth, and maybe, Darian Kennard might be on some thin ice if Williams shows that he can hold up and be a multiple position backup. So shout out to him for, good camp so far. And I'll be interested to see how he does. And also defensively, Jalen Simpson, the cornerback, who
has
been running with the twos and making plays. He's another guy to watch. And, there's the competition we talked about, but you also have Valentine, who's hurt. You have Damani Jackson, who's been hurt and hasn't, hasn't done anything in camp.
I don't know anything about him yet.
Right. He's a mystery man. So there could very well be a spot there for Jalen Simpson if he can keep up a strong play to make the roster. So those are two guys I want to shout out. What I'm watching is the stuff we already talked about. The big thing for me, and I hope people will listen, but they're not going to. This is a preseason game. I do not want to go on here next week and have to debate and dissect and talk about play calling or the schemes because they are not going to show you anything. It is going to be the most bland, uncreative, basic play calls on both sides of the ball. And that is the way it should be. And that is the way that almost every team in the league will treat it as well, because it is preseason. All these coaches are crazy, and they think if they show you anything, it's going to be this big giveaway for future opponents.
It's the end of the season.
Right. Like they can't show anything because they're all scared. Fine. They're not going to do anything creative, right? I don't want to hear anybody yelling at Matt LaFleur for his play calling. He might not even be calling the plays. So I don't want to, Miles, we're not debating Adam Stenavich next week if he's the play caller, because his job is to just be bland and call the basics and get him out of the game healthy, right?
I don't get to beat up Stenavich next week?
No, and we're not firing Jonathan Gannon. I don't want to see the fire Gannon.
No, we're not firing Gannon. We might fire Stenavich. I'm trigger happy on that trigger.
Right. Like we're not going to see all the exotic pressures that they've been doing in practice this week against the Steelers. He's not going to show you that, nor should he. So let's all calm down and take a deep breath. It's going to be some ugly football, right? But just remember, it's ugly for every team in the NFL. Watch any other preseason game, and when it gets into the second half, nobody can block. The quarterbacks are scattershot. People dropping pass. It's like that everywhere. It's going to be like that with the Packers. Just remain calm, right? Or as calm as we can be as Packers fans.
No, I'll build on that, relax. And I'll say what you should watch for is the things that don't require scheme to win. And that the O-line is one of the areas where you can do that. You can really evaluate what's going on there because you can see the one-on-one battle. You could see a guy get laid on his ass. You know, like if Belton's coming off the ball and getting just flatlined, you don't really need scheme to help him with that. Play calling's not going to change that. You know, he's just getting knocked down. He's going to get knocked down. I say that because I think that was one of the updates I saw earlier from practice. But yeah, so watch the areas where it's more one-on-one, fundamental. I line up against you. I either beat you or I don't. That's what I'd watch for. You know, the O-line is a good place to watch because there's a lot of that there. You don't really need, and you can especially in the run game, there can be pulls and deception and things like that. But for the most part, you can see how guys are doing on the O-line and D-line for that matter in the preseason. And the other thing is in the preseason, they're scheming for reps. So you might see a play call and go, what the heck were they doing there? Why did you call that play? They literally might not care about the outcome of the play. They just wanted to see the rep. They wanted to see the guys on the field execute that play. And that can be frustrating because it can look ugly and sloppy and confusing in some cases. Why did you go for it on fourth down there? It doesn't make this game management is terrible. No. In the preseason, they'll go for it on fourth down just to get one more rep of offense on film. Just because they got one of the best punters in the league. They don't need him to flex his moon balls anymore. Oh man, that's a good clip. You guys make sure you get that. But they may literally go for it on fourth down in a weird situation just to see another rep of the offense.
As they should.
But so yeah, I agree with you, man. Let's reserve our firing triggers for at least week 1 of the regular season. Then we can pull those out. But yeah, and I do believe Stenavich calls the plays in the preseason. They've at least alluded to that.
I think he usually spread it around. I think maybe one game's Stenavich, another game's like Vrabel, and I think he spreads it around. Getsy will probably call one game.
Fair enough. So
there'll be plenty of guys for Packer fans to blame.
Yeah, not LaFleur though. You don't get to come here next week and go, that LaFleur sucks. The only thing you can say he sucks about is if they come out just looking sleepy. If they're flat and sleepy, then you can get mad at him. But otherwise, yeah, I agree with you. Let's reserve our emotions and just watch some football here and see how these guys do. Ultimately, I'm with you. I'm looking at the O-line. We talked about some of the position battles that are going on. I would definitely watch those.
Yeah, and I just real quick because some of the comments mentioned it was the running game.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Like Marshawn Lloyd's going to play. Part of me wants to just put him in bubble wrap and wait till the regular season. But like the dude hasn't hardly played in 2 years, so like he's going to play, and he's probably going to play a lot in the preseason.
You really want to see him take some hits because if he can't take hits now, he can't take hits later.
Exactly. You want to know. Yeah. Jacobs isn't going to play. I mean, he's hurt anyway, so he wasn't going to play. Brooks is just coming off as an injury, so he's probably not going to play. So it's going to be a good look at Marshawn Lloyd. It's going to be a good look at the other backs, Pierre Strong, Damian Martinez, and then just the run blocking. Like, let's see live, actual, physical. They do run block and they do running, but it's a little different because they're not taking guys to the ground. You're going against another team not your own guys who you're trying not to injure in some of these run blocking drills. So, let's see what the running backs look like. I think that's a good one as well.
Yeah, our buddy Chris the Casual, he agrees with you. Martinez, I want to see Martinez too, man. I'd love to see him get a nice hefty carry load. And then we're going to take some receipts here, our showers. Tyrod was a poor choice for backup. The preseason will show it. Yo, listen, I've been paying attention. He's been having a great training camp so far. And I think the times where he has not done well have been more because of poor protection than anything else.
Right.
I think Tyrod's been slinging it, and I think you're going to be wrong, Showers, but we will find out. We'll bookmark that one.
I don't understand the hate, but I'll just say, like, I hope we never find out, because I hope he never I hope he doesn't have to play.
Fair enough. That we can probably all agree on that.
Like, let's not worry about that until we have to, and hopefully we never have to worry about that.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have to worry about that. But no, and the other one, and this is probably a good one to finish on. I am watching Trey Smack, man. I want to see him make some good kicks. I want to see him kind of, quiet some of the haters. I would love to see him make like a nice 50-yarder. Not to win the game or anything. I'd love to see him have a good stat line from this game to quiet some of the haters and come out of the game with some confidence. So I am watching our boy Smack.
We almost made it through the entire episode without talking about the kicker.
Yeah, well, there we go.
He was better family night.
He's getting there. He's getting there. The explanations that I'm hearing, they're making sense. The coaches aren't panicked, and they've been through this enough where if there was reason for panic, I think you would see the front office moving on it. Is that fair to say?
I hope so. I mean, I don't know, because they drafted this kid, right? Like, so I don't know. Maybe
you also got booted from the playoffs because your kicker missed 7 points worth of kicks. Yeah. So there might be a higher sense of urgency on that.
But he seems like he's moving in the right direction, I guess. But we'll see.
I'm going to talk some smack next week. Come on, Trey. Don't let me down, buddy. No, ultimately, though, looking forward to watching the Packers line up against another team and play some football. I can't wait, man. I'm very excited. I love that it's a Thursday night game on NFL Network, so we all get to watch it. It is a shame that they missed out on bringing Rodgers and McCarthy back to Lambeau in this situation, but we'll forgive the schedule makers. Maybe we'll substitute that for a future Super Bowl matchup. We'll see. But,
Pittsburgh ain't getting to the Super Bowl.
Hey, man. I don't know enough about their roster, but, anything can happen. And the AFC is not that great. I mean, you got Mahomes and you got Allen, and the rest is kind of up for grabs. So we'll see how that season unfolds.
Ain't happen. He's the old man at quarterback. He looked his age last year.
He doesn't have one last ride, you don't think?
No.
One last run the table?
No. He'll look good against the bad teams on the schedule. Anybody with a good defense or just a good team, he was brutal last year against good teams and good defenses. And I think it'll be more of the same.
We'll see. He's got McCarthy in his corner now. Maybe it makes a difference.
Yeah, the guy who got fired.
Oh, man. All right. Well, if y'all had fun with us tonight, spike that like button for us. Definitely hit that little subscribe button there, especially if you're watching on YouTube, listening on YouTube. It's right there under the screen. No excuses for not hitting it. Come on now. Quick click, nice and easy, no pain, and you help us find more Packers fans. You help them find us. But most importantly, have fun this week watching the Packers play football against another team. Very excited about this. Before we know it, week 1 will be upon us, and we will be watching real football. Once again, our souls have been starved for this moment. So do enjoy it and all of the chaos that comes with it. And certainly tell your friends about the pod. Would love to have as many people as we can get in here. We got about 4,500 subscribers on YouTube. Y'all help us get over that 5,000 mark. We would love it. And we will be back next Monday night, 9:30 p.m. streaming live, talking Pack. So if y'all want to come hang out. And as always, go Pack, go.